Okay, in this video I want to discuss another peg of postmodernism that I believe derives from this isolation and the lack of affect. And that this is a decision at one point to just do something for the sake of doing it. So to quote a line from a recent Hollywood film, Flight of the Phoenix, where the air crew is stranded on the desert and they're trying to fix their airplane, and one of them is convinced that it's not fixable. So he tries to stop the crew from fixing the airplane, and without fixing it, they're going to die. All right, they're going to die in that desert. So, in failing to convince the others to give up the project, he just walks away. And then another crew member comes and chases after him and starts talking to him and says, look, you know, everyone wants love, okay, but if you can't give them love, then at least give them hope. But if you can't give them hope, at least give them work or something to do. So the idea is, when you're at the point here where nothing else, you can't really establish a foundation upon which to justify the pursuit of some of these finer qualities of life that have been established prior as objects or situations or events worth pursuing, like happiness or love or truth. The postmodern is going to have trouble with all of those issues because they don't have a foundation. The postmodern condition has rendered very shaky any platform or foundation upon which to set these goals. But the opposite is so horrendous that at one point someone might say, I just need to work. Okay, so just give me something to do. And it often doesn't happen in a way that is thus articulated. All right, but it is actually the result of that sort of causality and or those causes. And so if you look at someone who, you know, for all, you know, the things that they could do, they pick something and they've just thrown themselves into it, and they have defined themselves by this project. Okay, and the project doesn't seem to have I mean, it sort of has come out of the blue, but it has allowed this person to be very busy. And in being so busy, the person's mind is allowed to focus on something else other than these issues. Now, usually the people that go toward this are those that have quietly considered their situation to the point at which they're beginning to understand with some commitment and conviction where they think they are with this. So they're not the unschooled, they're not the uncritical. They've tried to think, they've tried to sort things out, and they just don't see a way out. So, you know, at that point it's either complete apathy or just go on as sort of a Homer Simpson existence, a suicide, or you know, this sort of thing. The project, it does offer some sort of, you know, alternative, and it does serve to take the mind away from these other critical problems of life and existence that have weighed down so much on somebody. So they might not even have a cogent explanation as to why this project has become so important to them. You know, it might be something they found themselves, like they found you know, a cause or an institute or organization or a foundation, and they pour themselves into it. You know, and I can't help thinking about somebody, for example, like Princess Diana, all right, and the way she dedicated herself to the removal of and the reparation of the damage caused by landmines. And she would travel to various third world countries that have been ravaged by war, and talk about the landmines that were there, and she would try to visit the children that had lost legs and limbs from this, and I guess put into action or start the process of politically getting the pressure on groups to remove these artillery, that sort of thing. So and again, where did that come from? So it usually, I'm not saying that for sure that's what it was, but the project does sort of look like that. And it serves to inject some sort of meaning for the nonce, for the moment. And it can even be, at the end of the philosophical analysis of it, given the presuppositions of postmodernism, still seen to be in the long run meaningless. But it's a project nonetheless. Okay, let me explain it this way. Let's say that you were finally given a chance at a really nice job, okay, and you walked in and the room was beautiful. The room was beautiful. The room was everything was full of luxury and comfort, and whoever was offering you this job said, hey, we're going to give you all that you ever need, okay? I mean, health care, we're going to take care of your groceries, we're going to feed you well, you can sleep here, and we want you to work with just the best tools, we're going to train you on this. Now your job is to sit at this desk, and with the very finest material, with say mahogany wood or whatever, and silk sails, and instead of your old glass jar, we'll use a crystal jar and or bottle. And your job is to build a model ship in the bottle, okay? And in fact, we'll use gold fasteners and nails and that sort of thing, and we'll fill the room with pictures of fine art or whatever. We'll play the music you want us to play. The climate's going to be set how you like it. Let's get going. Now we want you to spend 50 years at this, okay? Or 60 years, for the rest of your life, working on this. It's going to be so exquisite that it's probably going to take 50, 60, 70 years for you to finish this one ship inside this glass. This crystal jar, okay? But there's one condition, okay? One condition. This life's work of yours, at the very end, when you're actually done with it, someone's going to walk through that door with a sledgehammer and smash it to smithereens. Okay? Now, do you want the job? Now, at one point, someone will say, well, at the end of it anyway, death is the great eraser of this, of all of the things I could be doing with life. So, sure, I'll take it, just because it helps me move through life, okay, in a situation of comfort. And now, that would be like the project, but it doesn't. That's very simplistic, right? Because someone might say, well, I'll pass the jar on to someone, and then that person can work, and others can benefit. And in fact, let's put a window in the room, and we'll have the jar there so that others can see it, okay, and enjoy it. So it's going to benefit others too, and it's a legacy I can pass on. So I will take this, and let's say that the person offering you the job says, okay, well, let's try to work that in too, but the final condition is, at the end of it all, how many times you pass it down, how many people enjoy it, whatnot, the sledgehammer is going to come to it. It's going to come to all of its copies. And it will be destroyed. Okay. So any sort of good that you can get from this is going to be, at the end of it all, temporary. Okay. Now, I can't help saying that logically that seems to me the situation for any sort of notion of origins that begins with a chemical or a biological or a purely physiological model, like a strict, rigorous evolution would. Especially given the cycles of catastrophe and the way that a living organism larger than the microorganisms, like the Earth is, in terms of the microorganism of the human race, tends to cleanse itself after millennia, a sort of a purging of harmful elements on it, harmful organisms on it. Think of the clean slate of the Ice Age or whatever. I'm talking about these catastrophic periods that are posited by the evolutionary model, Okay, so what I'm saying is, even if you can work into the contract to pass on this job and the benefits of this job and the the benefit the the good that it brings to others, if you can extend it past your lifetime, that's still not successfully combating mortality. So, the sledgehammer is coming. Do you want the job to put the ship together? And if you say yes to that, just because you realize there's no way to escape this, I may as well just build a ship, so at least I can eat and listen to my music and enjoy creating art. That's a cathartic process, and that sort of thing. That would be like taking on the project. Okay, we would call it a project if you could articulate to me the fact that, hey, it's something to keep you busy between the bookends of your life. And although you have trouble philosophically positioning its value and establishing its value, it does have this temporary effect of making things easier for you because it takes your mind off. It gives you a goal to pursue. And as you do this, others also seem to benefit in some material way, which, when you look at these projects, very much of the actual benefit that is touted as being a good reason for the project is actually material, as if, again, the only needs we need to satisfy are the bodily needs, which I think is a very simplistic view of life. But that would be the contours of the postmodern project.